Hi there. Thanks for tuning to another episode of Spiritual Scientist. I'm Victor. Thanks for checking me out. So, I'm doing another video. I'm actually sick, homesick, so I'm not feeling that good. I don't believe I have COVID. I was tested 3 times, so I'm just kind of like having flu or something. Basically, same thing. Anyway. So I do a video from home today instead of in the car like I used to. And again, I'm sick, so please excuse my flushed appearance. But I thought I'd do a video. I was thinking about it and thought I'd share it. So I was listening to somebody the other day, and they said the age of the universe is 13.6 billion years old. And I said, whoa, wait a second. It's last time I checked, it was 15.2, then it was 14.8, then it was 14.6 billion years old, and now it's 13.6. How can that be? Checked our location in the universe, and now we're, as I've been saying, now we're in kind of like we were Sagittarius arm, then Orion's spur, and now we're kind of like Orion Cygnus. How could that be? What does that mean? What is going on? So I thought I'd share with you some of my thoughts and from a scientific, logical explanation, and try to make this concise. So according to Einstein's theory of relativity, and I'll simplify this, that let's say you have two twins, and one gets on a rocket ship and he goes off to Alpha Centauri, and the other one stays on Earth. Well, the one that goes off Centauri, let's say it takes 10 years. So he goes there 10 years and he comes back in 10 years, right? So now for that twin that was on the rocket ship, he aged 20 years. But for the denizens of the Earth and his brother would have perished already, sadly, right? Hundreds and hundreds of years later because of the time dilation effect. So what that means is that for time is all relative. That's where we get all these great equations from Einstein. So in essence, time was, because of him, he left, but he sped up. And so for him, that is what he perceived, and what it was is 20 years. But for the other brother, the Earth kept going. So what would happen is my contention is what would happen if both brothers were on that spaceship together. Well, both brothers would age at the same rate, correct? Yeah. Well, what if they went in a really fast spaceship, though? What might they notice on the spaceship? Well, they might notice that the things around them might change a little bit. Who knows, right? So let's pretend. Let's use this mental construct for a minute and humor me as we go through with these two brothers on the spaceship. So if they're at the spaceship and they're, let's say, 15.2 billion years old, universe, and they're in the outskirts of the Sagittarius arm. And so they're sitting there and they're like, oh, let's start up this spaceship. Well, they're not actually on a spaceship, but are they? They're on the Earth. So the Earth is moving through space. And what comes from space? But we have time. So we have time waves. So we're actually riding time waves. There is, which was conjectured and been pretty much proven, that in the middle of the at the center of the universe is a super gigantic black hole. So it's a supermassive black hole. It's called Sag A, basically with the asterisks, and that's a whole other story about the asterisks. Let's not go there. But anyway, so with that, that black hole is pulling. It's pulling on everything, right? But it doesn't do it in a constant velocity. It does it in spurts. It does it in waves, gravitational waves, like waves. So we are on this, we're all surfing these waves. And an aspect of, as we know, we have 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions, 4 dimensions. The 4th dimension is time. So not everybody is aware of different dimensions. So we have different dimensional thinking, as I've illustrated before in my videos. So if you look at this from a linear point of view, and then you would be on this Earth and you're moving, and of course you're moving towards the black hole. As we move towards the black hole, we're getting shear. So it pulls sometimes harder and not harder, depending on, here it comes, the vibrational frequency. So we're riding on the time waves, which ride on the vibrational frequency. As that vibrational frequency rises, we can skip along, and then it kind of lowers it back down. So everything, according to the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, everything's in waves, right? So, and look that up if you're not sure what I'm talking about. But things come in waves. So, for instance, if you took the whole universe and everything was kind of uniform, it wouldn't be uniform, because you have certain spots that are cold spots and hot spots. It's just the way it is. So the same way that with the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, you have certain aspects of time that has ripples and waves. So we are, in fact, according to what I'm proposing, is that the good old me is over 1 billion years old. I've been alive over 1 billion years, but it's all relative. So if I was someone outside of this whole dimensional construct that I'm in, where there is no time, then I could be however old that they wanted me to be old. I could be 1 billion years old or a moment years old. It's all from that kind of a perception. So what I'm contending is that we were at the outer edge of the Sagittarius arm, and as I recall, 15.2, and then it was 14.8, then it was 14.6, and now it is 13.6. Wow. So 13.6 years into the future. So I've been alive over 1 billion years old, and so have you, basically. But you didn't notice. So the interesting part is that you didn't notice. And why didn't you notice? So those 2 brothers on the spaceship, if they're traveling, one of the brothers might not notice that he's on a spaceship. He might be just eating his meal and eating his cereals in the morning and saying, this tastes really good. And the other brother's like, that's a really old, this tastes really old. He says, what do you mean it tastes old? How can it taste old? He says, well, it seems to taste old to me. Well, what do you mean? So one of the brothers might notice that the cereal's not really getting old, but parts of the molecules in the cereal might be interacting with such gravitational shear of time, some of the particles might be reacting differently. So for instance, I watched a video tonight where they found a hammer, and the hammer's in 300 million year old piece of coal. And so everybody's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Maybe it's all time machine. Well, maybe that hammer had some gravitational shear and got dropped and then got picked up again. So so it could be that it didn't come forward with us. It dropped the hammer. Somebody dropped the hammer. So anyway, somebody dropped the hammer, and then they picked it up again. Literally Thor's hammer, hammer of the gods, all that kind of stuff. So what I'm saying is that as we skip forward through time, we don't notice these kind of things because we're all together. We're all in the same spot. We're all in our same environment. But if you do have a higher dimensional way of perceiving things through whatever it is, maybe just through dumb luck, maybe like me, doing meditation, maybe doing other things. So we have a higher way of looking at it. And I say the word higher, different way of perceiving that time from non-linear perspective. Then you see things like Mandela effects, and you see things like that we actually are skipping forward and moving through time. Now, I'm not talking about why this is happening. That's a whole other story. I'm just giving you a scientific explanation of what so far could occur. Now, come from a spiritual point of view, so there's a lot of spiritual aspects to all this, what I'm saying. But I just wanted to get out there in a quick, kind of concise video about my quote-unquote theory, which is basis in scientific fact of how we could be moving through time, but most people wouldn't be noticing because in a relatively speaking term that they don't notice time occurring in this manner, because time is an aspect of the fourth dimension. Now, let's break that down for a moment, and I guess I'll wrap up this video. So time is an aspect of fourth dimension. So we have 2 dimensions. People are familiar. You have 3 dimensions in fourth dimension. So as you raise your thinking, I guess you want to say, and as you would notice things outside of your reality, then you're going to see, hey, this change, this change, this change. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being aware of, higher dimensional things, quote unquote, like, certain aspects. And I'm not saying that this isn't, controlled. It's not, I'm not saying that there's not intelligent design is what I want to say behind everything. What I'm saying is that there's, all these things can be scientifically explained if you look at it from a scientific perspective with an open mind. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, share. Have a great day. And pray for me and wish me to be better, please, in the comments. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.